Hey guys, what's up? This is Casey. This is Coach Tom. This is Shot Science Overtime number 71. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to have a topic that we talk about for 10 or 15 minutes, and it's a basketball topic that we think you guys are going to like. It's 4 ways to earn more playing time, and then while we're doing that, you guys are going to send us your questions, your basketball questions, and we're going to do our best after we're done talking with that to answer those. And what we ask is that you guys send them to us on either Twitter. We are at Shot Science. You can send them to us in the chat here on the YouTube video or in the Google Plus Q&A. And we want you to go on and to show up for the show. It only makes the show better because we get more questions from more people, and we're able to get more cool guests. In the past we've had NBA players like Danny Green. We've had a couple of college coaches. We've had coaches that help kids go from a traveling team in high school to get into the college program. And we've had former players join us. So go out there, tell your friends, family, whoever to show up for the show, and hopefully we can get more cool people for you. But first, we want to start off by our topic today, which is 4 ways to earn more playing time. There's a lot of ways to do that, and I'd suggest that you guys go check out our video on Make the Team, which kind of gives you some good ground rules for earning more playing time and just being in better graces with your coach or whoever. But we're going to give you 4 right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 1, what is it?
Well, just a little short lead-in on this. One of the things that we ask, or that we get asked really often, is how can I get more playing time? My coach doesn't seem to notice me, or he doesn't pay any attention to me. He focuses on other players. Well, in answer to that, one of the things that I would tell you, and I know this from personal experience, that the biggest thing that makes a difference for you in playing probably is the effort that you put into practice and you put into games when you get a chance to play. And so, and when I say effort, I'm talking about how hard you play. One of the things that I note over a lot of years being around basketball, there's a lot of young players who don't really put very much effort into it. And the ones that do are usually excel. Maybe not, they're not all stars, but they excel because they get work done, and the coaches love that the fact that they're playing so hard. And so, and I think that in all truth, one of the biggest problems for young people is that they don't know how to play hard. They just don't understand what that takes. And so one of the things that you have to do is listen carefully to your coach, and try to play at a higher tempo than anybody else that you're playing with. And that really creates some difficulty for the defense as well if you learn how to play really hard. And if you're playing with your feet, you're playing with your hands, you're playing with your head, all of those things are really important. And one thing that happens too is a coach loves to have somebody who is he's always in the mix. He's always creating problems for his man, for another man, and it's due to the effort that he puts into his game.
Well, so I think doing that stuff and all the little things too, like diving for balls, taking the charge, going after rebounds, boxing out, making free throws, all the things that kind of go overlooked a lot, especially in today's game. And the thing about it is you just have to put out more than anybody else. And sometimes you see it even in the NBA, the guys that are walking around flat-footed, or they're not if they're off ball on the defense, they're not really kind of in the game so much as they should be, and up on the balls of their feet and prepared for the flip pass or the skip pass, stuff like that, ready to go the next step. And if you do that in practice too, you kind of get a reputation for it, and so the coach is going to know that, and he's going to know, okay, I'm going to put this guy in because he knows how to get it done.
Yeah, along with being just a great athlete, Russell Westbrook has a tendency to play really. His effort is just outrageous. Sometimes he gets in trouble with it because he does things that he thinks he can get away with, a jump in the air, and he throws a ball behind his head to somebody back there and throws it out of bounds, and that happens once in a while. But he plays so hard on offense, and he plays really hard on defense when he wants to, because he has great athleticism, which not everybody does, but you can effort effort can come even if you're not really very talented as far as athleticism goes.
Well, I think somebody even like Kawhi Leonard. I mean, that guy.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yes.
he's getting rebounds. He's playing on the perimeter. He's playing in the post. He's hitting his teammates for passes.
He's getting to the basket.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing all these little things.
Yes. Very good.
Okay. So number.
One of the things that coaches love are players who will defend, because there's always somebody on the other team whom you have to stop or at least take and slow them down. And so a person who really excels and works really hard on defense can create a niche for themselves, because I mean, that's a personal thing for me, because that's kind of how I got to play in high school. Is they put me into a game and I was able to defend against this guy who was a pretty good shooter and all of that, and from then on I played, and it had to do with effort. And I think that if you can learn how to defend and then you put your mind to it, even if you make a few mistakes. And here's the other thing: some of the great defenders, like they talk all the time about Serge Ibaka, and what a great defender he is, and he is really a tough defender. He can do other things as well, but he just really creates havoc as a defensive player, and the coaches love him for that.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is that as a defensive player, you can change the face and pace of a game in one play. Yeah. If you get a block, or you get a steal, or you tip the ball away on a pass, I mean, you can change what's going on in the game. You can change the momentum, and you can turn that into some offensive, payoff.
Right.
So the thing about defense is that a lot of people don't want to play it, and if you play it and you're really good at that, you can convert it into actual offensive, benefits as well.
Well, a lot of people don't like to play defense because there's no real hurrahs there for guys who defend. Maybe you don't score very much, and everybody that plays the game is enamored with how many points they can score. I had double figures last night. I had 12 rebounds last night. I had all this other stuff. But what really counts in that whole situation is how did you hold that other guy down so that he didn't get 30? He didn't get double figures. And so that's really important stuff, is to be able to have that ability to defend.
Right. Okay. Number 3 is
attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cool thing about attitude is this: coaches love a guy with a good attitude, even if he is not a real strong player. He's positive. He plays his butt off, which is really important. He's a great team supporter, and he's a great teammate. Those kind of guys are just few and far between, and when they show up on a team, coaches just fall in love with those guys, because they know that they don't really have to get after them ever, because they're always going to have this great attitude and be competitive.
Well, and you can also look at it this way too: is that people that have, or teammates that have bad attitudes, they can pretty much poison the whole batch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if somebody's out there moping around, or they have one bad trip down the floor, and all of a sudden they're just pouting, that can really kill a teammate's chemistry and morale. And so if you have more people that don't fall into that kind of stuff, or you have somebody that leads just by having a good attitude, then that's going to be very obvious to a coach, and he's going to kind of groom that. So you need to always have a good attitude. Doesn't matter if you went down and you threw the ball against the wall on a layup. Laugh it off. Know that the next time down the floor you're going to do something really good.
Exactly.
If you're able to go out there and share your attitude with everybody else, that's only going to make you more desirable as a player.
Yeah, and those guys who have the poor attitudes, and I've seen a number of them over the years, they're a cancer on a team, because the other players are looking at him and wondering, okay, what's wrong with this guy? And he's pouting, he's complaining, he's throwing the ball against the wall, he jerks his shirt off. All of those are bits of frustration, but you have to be able to control all of that, because basketball is all about an organization working very smoothly together. And so having good attitude really helps out a whole bunch.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been occasions where I've seen probably the either number 1 or 2 best player on a team get kicked off the team or even asked not to play and stuff like that just because their attitude was so crappy. And you can see that in the NBA too. People like Dwight Howard, that whole situation. He had not a great attitude when he was on the Lakers, and that pretty much killed the chemistry of that team. I mean, they were playing with Kobe Bryant and Steve Nash and a few other great players. And then they have one guy that he's just bummed out that he's there, and so everything just goes from here down to here very quickly. And you gotta kind of keep that in check.
Well, I can remember a number of years back when I was coaching high school basketball as the head coach. One of the things that happened one year, I had a freshman who was pretty good, and I brought him up to varsity. He played a little bit. In fact, he played more than a little bit. He probably got in 10 minutes a game, something like that, just kind of breaking him in. And between his freshman and his sophomore year, his attitude turned so bad. And he wasn't willing to listen. He was just a cancer on the team. And before we got to our very first game, I cut him. He was gone because he was a cancer. And other people were starting to look at him and say, oh, maybe that's okay. Well, they knew it wasn't okay because I wasn't buying it. And
there's different kind of attitude, too.
Yeah.
There's the poor attitude where the guy is just pouting and feeling sorry for himself and everybody else. And then there's the attitude where somebody thinks that they're the greatest thing on earth and that they can do no wrong.
Yeah.
So you can't be either of those guys.
Yeah.
You need to be the guy that's always positive, that's building up your teammates, and is showing true leadership just by having that kind of positive attitude.
Right. And sometimes that's not hard to do because everybody would like to be the center of the team, but you produce so much more when you have a great attitude and you put effort into it.
Okay, number 4.
Okay. All right, first in the gym, last to leave. One of the things that coaches really notice, and in fact, usually I'll stick around after practice a little bit, and there'll be 1 or 2 guys that will stick around and they'll want to work on something. We'll do that. And that's great because those guys are the ones who really want to get better, and they're spending extra time to do it. The guys who I'm not too much enamored with are the ones who they're not letting the door hit them in the butt as they go out the door and leave. They want to just get out of there, and they're taking a lot of different directions. But the guys that you really love are the ones who are going to stick around, and they're there early. They're there working on their stroke. They're working on their shooting. They're working on their free throws. They're working on footwork, rebounding, all of that kind of stuff. You love those guys, and coaches take note of all of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's go to an NBA example like we'd like to do. Somebody like Ray Allen.
Yep.
That guy, he's there like 3 hours before the game, and he's shooting around at game speed, getting a sweat, and then that he's the last guy to leave. And that's the reason why, at his age, he's still there. He's still a dominant player because he's putting in the time, and he's there early and he's there late, and he's working on his game.
Right.
He has, I'm sure he has other priorities in his life, but he also knows that there's a certain amount of effort that he wants to put into being a great player and always being prepared for stepping on the court.
Right.
And so he's the first one there and probably the last guy to leave as well.
Right. And you won't find a guy that is much better shooter. I mean, there are a few guys around, but he's just a great shooter, and in tough situations too.
Yeah, and you can imagine if you're there working on your game and the coach walks through the door and you beat the coach there, and you're asking him if you can get keys to the gym over the holidays or on break or whatever. That guy is going to get way more playing time.
Right.
Okay, we're going to give you one bonus one. This one is just be coachable.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is that if you are allowing the coach to do his job, you're listening, you're always being attentive, and you're kind of going with the team's game plan, you're going to find yourself playing a lot more than the guy that has his own opinions on how things should go, or is kind of not as intelligent or intuitive about what the coach is putting out there. Right. So if you know the plays, if you know exactly what the mentality of the team is when you step out on the floor, you're going to be much more capable of fulfilling what the coach wants than somebody that's going out there and just doing what they want.
Sure, and one of the things that happens too is that, and this is one that really bothers me a bunch as a coach, is that if I stop the action and I want to make a comment about what this particular person did or didn't do, and all of a sudden it turns into kind of a little back and forth. Well, coach, I meant to do this, and I thought that, and I don't want to hear that. You know, guys who play basketball, particularly at the high school level, haven't been playing for more than 4 or 5 years, and so they really haven't learned that much about the game, and they better listen to the coaches, because the coaches have been doing it for a long time. Not only did they play it, most all of them played maybe at a higher level, and most of them have been coaching at the varsity level for a period of time, and so they're fairly knowledgeable, much more knowledgeable than most young men that are playing. And so one of the things that's really good then is to make sure that you're really coachable.
Yeah.
Except what the coach is saying. You may not like what he's saying, but one of the things that's really important too, he will have way more respect for you, and probably vice versa as well, is if you say, okay, I got it, coach. I got it. Understand.
Right. Okay.
And go on.
So those are our ways to earn more playing time. There are definitely more, but those are kind of some big ones that we think you need to consider if you're trying to get out on the floor more.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to transition into answering your guys' questions. I want to ask you guys to please go out there and tell your friends, family, anybody that's into basketball to show up for our live show, send us their questions, because we need more people. You know, every day or every time we do one of these live shows, we end up getting a bunch right at the end.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to answer as many questions as we can, but right now is the best time to hit us up. If you want to ask us a question on Twitter, we are at Shot Science. That's where we pretty much give priority. If we see you on there, we're probably going to get to your question. You can ask in the chat, and you can also ask in the Q&A on Google+. So please start sending us your questions. We need many more, and I know by the end that we'll probably not have enough time for everybody, so right now is the time. Okay, so we're going to start out on Twitter. This one is from Nathan Thompson, who is at NateT_AF. He says, dribble better and make layups better with my left, but shoot with right. Will shooting with weak hands stunt my shooting growth?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, a lot of players.
Well, it's not your weak hand if that's what if that's what you're shooting with.
Yeah, and you know that's not going to affect your shooting really at all. And you know, there are a lot of people who are either ambidextrous or semi-ambidextrous, meaning that they can use both hands equally well or fairly close. And players that spend a lot of time working on their weak hand, surprisingly, are really good at it. I wouldn't spend any time shooting unless maybe a little layup or inside hand layup or a little fade, something like that. But I wouldn't spend my time working on shooting with your off hand. I'd spend that on my dominant hand. But working on your left hand, where your your non-dominant hand is probably not going. It's not going to affect your other hand at all.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is that you know, you obviously want to have a dominant side where you're shooting that pretty much by itself.
Yeah.
You know, if you step out beyond 5 feet or so, you want to have that be the side that you have perfected your shot on.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's right or left. It really doesn't matter. When it comes down to shooting, or not shooting, but dribbling and layups and stuff like that, that's when you really want to have the kind of ambidextrous approach.
Yeah.
And you're able to dribble and also do the lay-ins with right or left hand.
Yeah, and usually you're in around close to the basket, so it's not really so difficult as it might seem either.
But you don't want to be one of those guys that is practicing three-pointers with both hands. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense because you'll just be an okay shooter with both instead of a great shooter with one.
Well, you're kind of wasting time that way too.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And you know, the thing is that if you think that being able to shoot with your right and left is going to make you a better shooter because you're going to get open more or something like that, if you have to choose between shooting with your right or your left hand when you're shooting, it's not a good shot because you are being contested, and you should learn how to create space more than anything. Okay, so let's get another question here. This one is from Rebound King, who says, "Hey coach, thanks for the videos. I'm 6'2" and I play center/power forward in my under 18 on 15 division. I want to transition to being a point guard or at least a small forward kind of guard to progress in my basketball life. I wanted to know, how can I improve? I know it has to do with shooting, dribbling under pressure, passing, and vision. Got any advice? Thanks, my friends, and I love your videos."
Well, you know, if you're going to improve in any and all of those areas, you want to spend time on it. And, you know, we could probably go through the whole litany of the three pillars and all of that kind of thing, which we do most every week. But the thing is, you're going to get better if you spend time in developing your skills. And then you take those skills and you work on them at a game. That I think in young players is that they don't spend enough time on learning how to execute at game speed. And once you got that down, then it's time to take it to the court. And when you take it to the court, then all of these elements need to come into play. One of the things that I know also is that a lot of players that I have as students, they learn how to do specific moves and their ball handling and whatnot, but they're afraid to do it when they get into a game situation. And that's one of the things that we talk about a lot, is the fact that if you're going to be effective, you need to be have the confidence in yourself that you're going to go ahead and use these, knowing that you may fail. And, you know, failure is I mean, it's kind of a harsh word in a way, but the thing is that when we are learning to do something physical like basketball or football or many other sports for that matter, one of the things that we have to do before we start to make some positive steps is we have to fail. The first time we ride a bike, first time we roller skate, first time we go on a snowboard, first time we ski, so on, so on, so on, is that usually we're not successful. But one of the things that happens is a lot of young players don't want to take that chance. They don't want to fail in the eyes of their peers or people they're playing against. And so you have to be willing to do that when you go to those pickup games and things like that to find out how you make all this work. And so I would say this is a comment that I leave an awful lot for people, and you can take what you want from it, but in capital letters, practice, practice, and then practice some more. That's how you get better. And then take it to the court.
Yeah, and here's my opinion on it too, is that you need to let go of playing for a position. The best thing you can do for yourself if you're a basketball player is to just be an all-around player that can play at any place, any time, at any position. Because if you start pigeonholing yourself and saying, oh, I'm a point guard, or oh, I'm a center, that's when you end up getting on a team and you're playing third string, and you pretty much will not be able to get out there on the floor because you have these other two guys that have that position locked up. If you are a guy that is able to go out there and play at any position, you become the most valuable player out there for your coach to be able to use, because you can go in at any time, anywhere. You know, you look at guys like Kevin Durant. That guy looks like he should be a center, even though he doesn't have necessarily the body mass, but he's almost 7 feet tall, and he can dribble like a guard, and he can shoot like a shooting guard, and he can play every single position out there on the floor. You know, same thing with like Anthony Davis. You know, those guys, they are super valuable because they are these very huge guys, but they can play at the point guard. And you know, the thing about it is that if you're a point guard and you're able to play in the post, you might get in a situation where you have a guy that's guarding you that maybe he's similar size. You get him in the post, and you have a couple post moves ready to go. That guy's in trouble because he's not used to guarding that kind of person, and you know, you're going to be more in control than if you were just stuck playing out on the perimeter.
Well, and then the bottom line on all of this is that you're going to be playing for another under 18, under 19, under 20 division team, a school team, whatever. And the coach is going to make that decision. You don't really have any decision on whether you're going to play one position or another. They will look at you and see, and look at the other team, and they're going to see how you fit into that. If it happens to be as a point guard, well, oh well, then you get a chance to do it. But you may be fit into a position, as far as they're concerned, in their offense, that where you're more valuable playing a power forward.
And here's the other thing too. You have to consider this, is that basketball is kind of moving away from these very specific positions, and it's becoming more fluid in that the first three positions are essentially the same thing, and you know, the four position is becoming more of a perimeter position, and you know, you just need to be able to do everything. If you're kind of pigeonholing yourself, you're going to find yourself on the bench, really. So just become a very well-rounded, valuable player. Okay, this one is from BS9 Matthews in the chat, and he says, or they say, overhand layup or underhand layup?
Well, you know,
be able to do both.
You need to be able to do both, but we kind of favor the underhand layup, and here's the reason that we do that. Oftentimes what will happen to you is you or anybody for that matter will take and steal a basketball and you're going to the other end of the court for a layup and you're just going really, really hard. And let's just give it a number here. Let's say that you're dribbling and going at about 5 miles per hour. Maybe you're going faster, maybe you're going slower, but you're really going hard to the basket. And you go up with an overhand lay-in. You've got your hand behind the basketball. What happens is that you transmit quite a bit of that run-up speed, no matter how you try to take it off, to the back of the basketball. And so oftentimes when it hits the backboard, it ricochets 8 or 10 feet behind you. And what really works better in that situation is to use the underhand stroke, because the underhand stroke is not going to deliver so much of that power in the run-up, and the basketball is going to be softer off the backboard. We always want our players to use an underhand layup when they're going on those fast breaks, or even just regular lay-ins.
Yeah, and the thing is that you have to practice them. A lot of people say that they struggle with the underhand layup or whatever. You just haven't put the work in.
Sure.
And it's mostly about footwork when it comes to layups.
Right.
Footwork, and then focusing on the finish on the layup where you put the ball right in the sweet spot of the target box. There's a lot of guys that just go up there and they just lay it up.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And don't just go over the front rim. Use the backboard, put it right in the sweet spot of the target box, and you will make essentially every layup. And if you want to go check out our videos on layups, we have at least 3. We have Layups 101, we have lay-in run-up drill, and then we also have a video where Chase tells you how to never miss layups. And guess what? That's about where to put it on the box, on the target box.
Right.
Okay. Next question. Let's go to the Q&A. This one is from Jerry Henry, who asked, I wonder if it's a good technique when the ball is in the air, the ball must right direction rim. You're more likely to put it. I don't know what this means. Basically, he's asking about how much time it takes for you to improve on your shot. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. If you want to ask your question again, Jerry, maybe clarify it a little bit more. But when it comes to your shooting, you can essentially start fixing your shot almost immediately. But the thing about it is that you have to be consistent with it too, because if you're just shooting one day a week and you've kind of started to work out the kinks, and then you come back a week later and you start shooting again, I'm going to guess that you're probably going to be a little bit rusty, and B, you probably will have digressed away from all the positive stuff that you did before. So
right, that's really the truth of it. Yeah. And one of the things that I think was a part of Jerry's question is how long does it take me to improve your shooting? Well, when we start with somebody raw, brand new, and they can maybe shoot the ball a little bit, but their shot is really ineffective and the mechanics are horrible. Usually we spend the first session just trying to take and set up some good practices for them to execute to get the shot to work for them. In a period of 3 to 4 weeks, usually that is becoming really pretty effective. I had a young girl, she's a junior in high school, and she went to a national tournament here 2 or 3 weeks ago in Los Angeles, and that's the first competition where she had really been to shoot at game speed. And she hit 5 threes. And she really couldn't shoot very well at all prior to that. But one of the things that she was doing is every day she was using our form shooting drill along with some other shooting drills so that shot really came along in that period. And that's kind of the way I feel about it. If you get good instruction and you spend your time on it, like I tell most every student, I can show you what to do and how to do it. But all the rest of it's on you. If you don't do that and you waste all the information, then you're not going to improve. If you do all the work, you will be able to shoot the basketball and shoot it effectively.
Yeah, and the thing to keep in mind is that you want to hit little milestones, not aim for the unreachable huge ones. So.
Yeah, and don't be enamored by just shooting threes. I mean, that's one of the things, somebody was talking about this, a real respected basketball coach who was doing some announcing a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things he said is this. He says, I think one of the worst things that ever happened to basketball was the three-point line. Because,
well, I mean, the three-point line for younger people, I think.
Well, I think the three-point, well, he was talking about, totally all around. But I think that certainly for young folks, because everybody thinks they need to be able to shoot a 3-ball. And if I'm 11 years old and I can't shoot the 3, and I won't be able to shoot it for another 2 or 3 years. The thing is that that puts you into some really bad habits. You haven't got as much strength. You don't use the legs very efficiently, and so we start racking the shoulders and the balls.
It's true for anybody. I mean, you could be somebody my age and go out there, and if you haven't shot a basketball and you shoot a couple of 3-footers and then you step back to 20 feet, you're not going to have the mechanics in place that you need to be an effective 3-point shooter. So you need to work using the form shooting drill, and we have a video on that, where you progressively work from close in, and you master these close areas with perfect form, and you step back as you master those close-in steps, or those close-in shots. And what you do is you progressively work yourself back, because if you do that, you'll get the strength, you'll start getting the muscle memory for the mechanics from close in, and as you step back, it's not going to be as huge a leap as from 2-footer to 20-footer, because you'll have put in the work to have the mechanics there as you get back there.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, so check out the form shooting drill. That's the one that we would suggest for just everyday shooting.
Right.
Okay, let's see here. This one is from Karthik Konuru, who I've seen before here a lot. Kyrie Irving uses a spin to angle the ball towards the hoop when doing layups. Is this good? He doesn't do it every time. What you're talking about is like putting English on the ball to have it go in when maybe you're a little bit off balance, or you're kind of under the basket or something. The thing about it is that will take a little bit of practice to really get that down, and you'll have to kind of experiment, because that's one of those things where you'll have to know how much to put on it, how much to softly lay the ball in, and where to put it on the backboard. So that's one of those things you kind of have to play around with a little bit while you're practicing. The other thing is that you don't want to make that a major habit when you're doing just regular layups, because that's, again, another variable that can go wrong when you're doing a layup. You want to limit the variables as much as you can when it comes to anything in basketball, but especially stuff like shooting and layups.
The one place that kind of comes to my mind that you might want to use a little bit more of that spin, they call it English, is that maybe if you're caught more underneath the basket as you're going in for the shot, and you have to kind of reach out to the side to get around the basket, then you might want to give it a little bit of a flick. But it's good. It's good.
It takes practice. Do not whip that one out in the game if you haven't tried it before. That's a great way to look a little silly. Okay, but give it a shot. Okay, this one is from Jerry Henry again. I wonder if you can make a video, effective pick and roll, what to do. Yes, I mean I think we've already even shot that video. We just have to put it together and have it out for you guys. But the thing about it, let's do some quick little things that we can hit on for pick and roll. Okay. So the first thing is that it needs to be very coordinated between the screener and the screenee.
Yeah.
The person that is setting the screen has to kind of hit it perfectly, while the person that's the screenee, or the person with the ball, has to set it up. So you're setting it up by kind of leaning in or selling that you're going one way, and then the screener is coming up and setting the screen in the direction that you actually want to go. And so when you do that, it has to be a little bit of eye contact going on so that you know what's going on, right?
Yeah, and when you come to the person is coming to set the screen, they want to make sure that they get straddled the near leg.
Yeah.
And one of the things you'll see when
of the defender.
Of the defender. He's coming to set that screen on the defender, and so he wants to straddle that near leg. The other thing that's really important is that you want the back of your head to be pointed in the direction where that guy is going to go with the basketball when he comes off the screen. Too often we come up and our angle is not good, and the defensive person can step his leg out and just step right under and pick the ball up on the opposite side. But if you get the back of your head pointed in the direction where that guy is going to be going, then that will really help to kind of seal that guy and not allow him to get over the screen.
And here's the thing too.
Let me hang on a second. Let me go a little further. The guy who has the basketball, when he decides to go, maybe he's there, a little shot fake or a little jab step while he's waiting for that person to set the screen. Then when he comes off, one of the biggest mistakes that happens is that you do not get body contact with your own screener, and so the defender is allowed to slip right over the top of that screen as well. And so what you really want to do when you come off of it is, number one, make sure he is set, because oftentimes what happens if he goes with the basketball too early and the screener is still moving and there's contact, the foul is going to be on your screener, on your teammate, and you allowed that to happen because you go too early. So what you want to do is make sure that he is set, and then you go and you try to get a little skin on him when you go by. That way the defensive person either has to step back and through, or they're going to switch it.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I was going to go a little bit off more what you were saying about straddling that leg.
Okay.
And it's all about getting position on the guy.
Yeah.
And you have to establish and set your position before there is any contact. And so when you're saying that you straddle that guy's leg, you're essentially putting your feet down so that when he hits you, it's going to be right on targeted in the center of your body.
Right.
If you clip him like with your shoulder or your hip or whatever, that's probably going to be a foul on you. So what you need to do is make sure that when you are setting that screen, you're straddling him and kind of square around his body, because when he hits you, you want to hit him right in the middle of your chest. Yeah. And then what you want to do is make sure that you have those feet set like that, because when you open up, you're going to be able to seal that guy behind you.
If they switch, you can seal him behind you.
Yeah, so here's the thing that we think is an important part of screening that you don't really see that much in the NBA these days, and also not so much in college either, is that you don't want to lose sight of the ball and the ball handler. So instead of doing these screens where you screen and then you slip right to the basket, what we say is that you set the screen, and as the guy goes over your shoulder and you get that contact from the guy that's the screenee, you open up with him. And when you do that, you keep your inside foot, or your foot that's closest to the basket. That one is your pivot foot. And as you pivot, you open up with him, and that defender will be stuck behind you. And if you take a long step, you seal him behind, and you will have a really great opportunity to get your hand up, and that guy with the ball can hit you with the pass as you go to the hoop. The defender will be behind you, and if you get the guy behind you, you're going to have an opportunity where you're going to have a good look at the basket, and an opportunity where that guy's going to foul you because he's pinned behind you. And your defender probably is trying to hedge onto this guy, and so if he's on that guy, you're going to essentially be wide open with the guy behind you for the look. And if he doesn't go with this guy will have a really good open look at either a shot or a drive to the basket. So you want to make sure that you're not doing the slip where you're setting the screen, losing eye contact with your teammate and slipping to the basket this way. What you want to do,
turn your back to him, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say that you're coming over the top this way. I've set the screen right here. I'm not turning and going like this. I'm setting the screen here. You're going that way. I'm opening up like that. So that's not easy to demonstrate here in our chairs, but hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. We're going to have a video on that, so don't worry. Okay, so let's go. We have a ton of Twitter questions, so let's go to Twitter real quick. If you guys want to send us your questions, we are at Shot Science. Okay, this one is, again, from Nathan Thompson, who is at NateT_AF. He asked a question a little while ago. He says, thank you. Also, how important would you say lifting weights is as a freshman? Should I worry about getting stronger? Here's what I would say. Spend your time working on your basketball game. That's going to be much more important than you all. And while you're doing that, you'll probably develop better conditioning and better muscle memory on your skills and things like that. Too much emphasis is put on weightlifting and stuff like that. If anything, if you're training for building, your conditioning or your muscles or whatever, I would say if you're a freshman, stick with body weight stuff. So things like pull-ups, push-ups, dips, things like that, where you are not loading up weights. Number one, because your body probably isn't super ready to do that, and number two, because you probably don't have a trainer that's helping you figure that stuff out specifically. And you could hurt yourself.
What about elastic bands, Casey?
Bands might be a good opportunity to get some resistance in there, but I would still stick with mostly just body weight stuff, and work on things like your foot speed. So things like ladder drills, jump rope, dot drills. sprints, interval training, stuff like that would be much better served for you. And the thing is that everybody thinks, oh, if I put on 20 pounds of muscle, that I'm just going to be this monster player. That's probably not going to have as much of an effect as you think. And actually spending that time developing your game is going to make you a much better player than 20 pounds of muscle is going to do. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Spend your time working on your ball handling and shooting, not on pressing a bunch of weight, especially as a young person.
Yeah.
What I will also say is that you need to go check out our good buddy Alan Stein, because he has a lot of kind of safe approach training stuff that you can use. A lot of it is body weight. A lot of it is conditioning stuff. So if you go check out Alan Stein from Stronger Team, he has a lot of great stuff for conditioning and kind of improving your athleticism. You can also check out our video on the vertical jump stuff. We have multiple videos on the vertical jump, but it's not just vertical jump. It also will help you with your all-around athleticism and your conditioning. So our vertical jump series and then our vertical jump handbook that you can download. Okay?
One of the other things that I would throw in there too is that usually when you're that young, 13, 14, 15 years old, those growth plates in your body, particularly your legs and whatnot, haven't really filled in very much, and you can do a little damage to that if you're putting too much weight on it.
Well, that's the problem though. Is when I see people that are younger, they generally think that they know what they're doing, but they really don't.
Yes.
And just minor issues in your form and technique can really hurt you. And it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're not kind of properly versed or trained on it, then you're probably going to hurt yourself. And that's a great way to not play during your season. So I would just say stick with bodyweight stuff, because it's really hard to hurt yourself doing that. And also spend more time working on your skills and developing that than you would spend in the gym. Okay, let's move on. This one is from Asfaha, who is at Asfaha _ on Twitter, and he's asking about point guard IQ skills. When it comes to anything about basketball IQ or aptitude for the game, it all comes down to experience and getting out there and actually playing. A lot of people think that you can sit there and you can just study basketball, watch, or get a few tips or something like that. You have to get out there and play, because that's how you're going to understand in the moment what to do.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there and all you're doing is listening to Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy and those guys, I mean, that's great. They probably have great insight, but that's not going to be something that just fires in your brain when you're out there playing your game. You need to be out there getting the actual game experience, because you might have a different approach when you're playing than somebody else. So you need to actually get out there and play. Yeah. And that's one of our 3 pillars of practice that we always talk about. There's the diligent work on form, developing your mechanics. And then there's game speed, game intensity practice, and then game experience. It's a whole freaking pillar in our 3 pillars of practice. So get game experience. Okay, next one. This one is from Sean Habib, who is at Abib1996 on Twitter. They ask, what is your opinion on helping one pass away? Our opinion is this, and maybe it's not the same, I don't know. Essentially what you want to do is you want to commit without committing. And so essentially you're going to kind of hedge between the two guys, right? You want to play a little bit for the ball and get out in the passing lane, right?
Well, there's different things to think about here. It depends on what the coaching philosophy is. If the philosophy is to get out and pressure those passes, then that creates a little different situation.
I was just being very general.
Right, I know. And yet, if you're in a situation where you're not being pressured, one of the things that, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought.
Well, here's the thing.
Hold it. Now we're one pass away. You want to make sure that you are supporting that seam between yourself and your other defender.
Yeah.
And what that support is all about is that you are in position where you can see the dribbler, you can see your man, and yet if they try to drive through that seam, you're able to step in and stop that penetration and force them either to pick up the ball give the ball up to somebody else, and then at that time you can recover. But one of the things that's so important on help defense is this, and everybody on the team has important jobs in help defense. The one thing that you want to do is nobody is on an island by themselves. Sometimes the court will be cleared out, and it's a one-on-one situation, and even then you will have help side defenders, support defenders that are going to be lined up on the split line, or you should have, so that if you are beaten on the dribble, and everybody gets beat, and so you've got one of your teammates there to support you and stop that penetration. So I look at it this way: when you're playing defense, you never are playing one-on-one defense. It's 5-on-1, 5 defenders versus whoever has that basketball. We have to account for the other players, certainly, but we're always looking to support the guy that is defending the basketball.
Here's the thing for me, too, is that it has to be thinking of basketball or as defending one pass away is not really the bigger picture. What you want to be thinking about is as a defender, forcing the defense to do things that they don't want to do before they want to do them anyway. So the thing is that if you're playing one pass away, you have to kind of be playing off and anticipating the pass and getting out in the passing lane and the seam and everything. But you also, if that guy's driving towards you and he's beating your man, you can do a few things to make him make a decision that he wasn't prepared to do. You can at him like you're going to step over and make him make a decision whether he needs to pick up the dribble or he's going to try to pass your man, and then you hop back and get back in position. Or you pop out in the passing lane as he's starting to pass the ball. I mean, if you step off, there needs to be support from the whole team to switch, because if there's not, obviously you're going to get beat because your guy's going to be open. So it needs to be a coordinated effort where everybody knows where they need to be. If somebody switches, the whole team needs to shift and switch. And there's people out there that say this one pass away thing you should never help. That is ridiculous.
Yep.
You need to stop the ball.
You need to support so that that ball can't get into the paint. That's one of the probably the biggest issues in defense is, and teams are becoming more and more and more aware of keeping the ball out of the middle. And when you keep the ball out of the middle, then you force the shots to be more perimeter oriented. When they get into the middle, the chances of making the shot are really go up dramatically when they can get in the paint with the basketball.
Yeah, and you can help without committing to the guy that's driving or cutting to the seam.
But if you have to make a full commitment, you do it.
Yeah.
You just do it. You cannot allow him to get into the middle of the defense.
But if there's anybody that's saying never help one pass away, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you have to think of defense as a larger philosophy than that. Okay. Lightning round, because we are running out of time, and like I said before, we're going to get a ton of questions at the end, and now we have so many, I don't know if we can get all of these. So this is from Nathan Ye, who is at InYay3 on Twitter. He says, what is the best drill to practice simulate a hop jump shot if you were by yourself? Okay, no hopping into your shot. That is the worst thing you can do. If you think about it, you're taking your center of gravity from high to low to high. Instead of using the 1-2 footwork, which is from low to high, it's going to be, if you use the 1-2, it's going to be faster, quicker, it's going to be more on balance, and it's going to be more explosive, and best of all, it's going to have less moving parts, and also, you also get half or part of your shooting motion out of the way so that you can be more efficient going to your shot. So don't hop into your shot. 1-2. Anybody that says that it's not more biomechanically sound does not know what they're talking about. Okay, and the other thing is, what drills can you use? 3 pillars of practice here. Use the form shooting drill to dial in all of your mechanics. Use the game speed, game intensity practice to get you prepared to step out on the floor, and then do the game, actual game experience stuff, where you're taking what you did in the first 3 pillars and actually getting it in a game. That's what we say to trying to get your skills up for shooting, dribbling, defense, whatever. Yeah. Okay, that was a poor lightning round answer. This is from Eric Simank, who is at eSimank on Twitter. He says, "What's the most important thing to do when trying to change the culture of a losing program?"
Well, one of the things you can do is become a really solid leader, and that means that you're going to set a shining example for everybody else, and that means you're going to play harder than everybody else. You're going to work on your game harder than everybody else. You're going to be a great teammate. You're going to support the coach and what he's doing.
He might be a coach.
They could be, but the thing that's really important is if you're going to change the culture of a basketball program or a basketball team, you have to be pulling and getting everybody coming together. If you are a coach, the one thing that really I've seen some of this lately is that fractured programs tend to just kind of fall apart as the season goes on. You get into kind of a losing mode. People are going through the motions and not really playing hard, and so it's important that you kind of change that whole culture to be able to get it to be more successful. And now that doesn't mean you're going to be a winner necessarily, but you get great value out of players playing their butts off, but still maybe not winning. Maybe they lose by 2, maybe they lose by 20, who knows, but they're playing as hard as they can play, and they know that, and that you're supporting what they're doing, and as a coach, then I think that probably that's how you begin to change the culture. If you're a player now, as what I was getting at before, you want to be a great teammate, you want to be very positive, you want to take and support the coach, you want to support the other players in a lot of ways. One of the things that we do this in the program I've been working in for a long time is that we really encourage players to coach players. And we'll even stop practice while 2 players are talking to one another. Maybe an older, more experienced one is talking with a younger one who doesn't have the experience. We'll stop and we'll let them have that moment, and maybe it's only 30 seconds, maybe it's a minute or so, and the point is that then they begin to trust one another, they begin to support one another, and I think that's one of the ways you can change that culture.
Well, I was just going to say, reward positive attitudes, reward extra effort, and the other thing, other thing is set small goals. A lot of people go in and they say, oh, we got to win, we got to have a winning season, blah blah. Well, it's okay. Well, how about we win a quarter or something like that, or we work on having a successful offense or something. Set small goals and work towards those, and then build up. Those milestones will help you reach those larger goals.
Right.
But a lot of it is just attitude. If a coach is kind of pissed off and irritated, or if players are like that, then that's when you kind of start having that just negative cancer on the team.
Well, yeah, one of the things...
Okay, we got to hurry, though.
Okay, one of the things that coaches can do is they oftentimes stymie that culture because they are negative in their approach to what's going on in a game or going on in practice, instead of being a little more patient. It's hard to do when you've been losing a lot of games, stuff like that.
Okay, so... lightning round, remember, this is from Chet Andrews, at Chet Andrews on Twitter. What should you do to get a player to use her non-dominant hand when appropriate? Okay,
practice it.
Practice. You have to have the skill set there, and they have to feel comfortable using it. So, and 3 pillars of practice that stuff.
Well, hang on. And you develop drills where they utilize that hand, and you force them to do it. One of the things that we do, and it's really a very small little thing, is regarding ball handling, is we have a 5 and 3 drill. And the 5 and 3 drill means that we're going to bounce the ball with one hand 5 times and the other hand with 3 times. And we do it 10 and 3 if we thought it was going to have a much better effect. And so that you're going to use your weak hand a whole lot more than you're going to use your strong hand. And you'd be surprised, just in a matter of a few days, how much that ball skills comes around just in doing that, just using.
Okay, this one is from our buddy Michael, who is at Rolac Michael on Twitter. He says 2 things. How to be the #1 player in the country, and how to dribble like a pro. The answer is practice and experience. Yeah. There is no way around it. There's no secret pill. There is no anything other than just practice and experience.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is from Chris Kerrigan, at Chris_Kerrigan on Twitter. What is the best way to dominate, not to get pushed about on the court if you're a short player? I am 5'6". Okay, here's the thing. You need to forget about your height, number 1. Yeah. And you need to remember that every person at every height has their own advantages. So a tall guy is probably going to have the advantage of his height and his reach and the fact that he's closer to the basket, and he can just get up higher than you can. You, as a smaller player, you're probably going to be quicker, more agile, faster, and be able to fit places that he frankly cannot fit. So use those things against him. The other thing is that you probably have an advantage over them mentally in the fact that they think they're going to come in there and they're going to send your shot into the 5th row, and so they're going to have that mentality. Use that against them. Give him a shot fake. He's going to go up because he's going to think he's just going to blast your shot out of there, but you've got him up in the air now, and all you have to do is lean into him and get a foul on the shot, or you can just go around him and get another shot that's wide open. Use your advantages against their disadvantages.
Yeah, one of the things that players oftentimes do is they allow themselves to be intimidated by those other kind of guys. Well, my opinion is on that is screw that. Don't be intimidated. Take and be the person who is going to be the intimidator, if necessarily, even if he's a foot taller than you are. It doesn't make any difference. Don't allow somebody else to intimidate you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can do nothing about your height.
Yep.
You are your height. That's it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
Work with your advantages. Okay. Let's see. We got a couple here in the Q&A. This one is for the Emu Bob, who asked, what is the best way to practice shooting without a net?
Shoot it.
Okay, if you're just talking about having the rim and not having the net,
Yeah.
I mean, just that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
If you're talking about not having an actual rim to shoot on, you can work on your form without having a rim.
Sure.
But you need to also figure out a way to get to a rim as often as you possibly can, because that's the way that you're really going to dial things in. So you need to be creative. You need to figure it out.
I want that one right there.
You need to point to it again.
Right there.
This one is from Void's Blade, who asks, how do you deal with double teams? I'm 6'4" high school student, and I keep getting doubled.
Okay, I'm going to take a little moment on this one.
Okay, this quickly.
Yeah, I know. This is something that I feel like players oftentimes are so intimidated by are double teams. And one of the things I think is really important for you as a player is this. If you can see that double team coming, and you usually have one guy on you and somebody else is coming to close off the double team, immediately attack the player that's to the inside of the court. And I like to divide the court into 3 lengths. There's the left sideline, the middle of the floor, and the right sideline. And stay away from the sidelines, because that then becomes a real aid to double teams. But here's what happens. If you the player who is to the inside of the floor, the other guy usually is canceled out because he's blocked out by his own teammate. And so just don't be afraid. And when you attack them hard. And don't just take one dribble and maybe pick up. You just go at them really hard. And what happens is that usually you get in a situation where you're able to just kind of slip by and get out into the open. The more you dance around with all these cute little drills and retreat and scissor and all that crap, there's a chance there that's going to be very effective, because you're going to lose the basketball in that traffic. So my advice is this. When we see it coming, attack one of them, and usually it should be the guy on the inside.
Yeah. In the words of Bane from the Batman movies, take control.
Yeah, take control.
So what happens is that if you just sit back and wait, those 2 guys will come and they will meet you at exactly the time that they want to meet you.
Well, and usually you turn away to protect the basketball, and or you pick up the ball.
But listen, what happens is that typically they're going to try to get you on the sideline or at the half-court line, where they're adding in more defenders because you can't step back over those lines. Yeah. And the thing is that if you take control, if you go at that one guy, you're just dealing with one guy. If they're coming at you with 2 guys, all of a sudden they're adding not just them, but they're also adding the sideline and the back court line. And you'll also they're going to be cutting off passing lanes and everything, and so they're cutting you off from your team. So you need to make sure that you just look at that one guy and say, oh, here comes the double team. Go right at that guy. Yeah. Don't waste any time. Just go right at him, and then throw in a dribble attack or a pass to your teammate, and you will be fine. Double teams are not that hard to deal with. No. And if you take control, then they're going to be in trouble because they have overcommitted.
Well, and if you're going to take and dribble over the midcourt line, make sure you get over the midcourt line at least 8 to 10 feet before you happen to pick up the basketball.
Yeah, don't pick up the ball near the half-court line. Don't pick up the ball along the sideline. Don't ever pick it up in a corner. Yeah. You will be in big trouble.
Yeah.
And keep your dribble alive until you want to do something else with it. Okay, we're gonna do some super quick ones here. Super lightning round. This one's from BS9 Matthew says, when practicing, do you recommend playing a scrimmage with friends or practicing individual skills like passing, dribbling, shooting, etc.? Thanks. Got to do both.
Yeah.
3 pillars of practice. Let's see. KD 35, MVP, Thunder 7. Oh, I wonder who their favorite player is. When do you do a reverse layup? Do you shoot like a sky hook under the goal? Explain.
You know, it's not a sky hook at all.
It's just a scoop, essentially. I mean,
yeah, it's just a little reach up and
it's
get back. Yeah, it's not a sky hook.
You have to hit the ball in the same spot on the target box that you would with a regular layup.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure you're reaching out and you've gone far enough under the basket that you can actually get it past the rim and up to where you need to get it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We got him already.
Nick Fast Cash says, when I drive to the hoop, the 5 or 4 normally comes to block my shot, but I don't want to ram into him and get the charge. How can I get around him?
Okay. You know,
there's multiple things that are going to happen here.
Well, yeah. One of the first things that we think is that if you have a man who comes in front of you to challenge you and he's leaving somebody else to do that, jump stop. If you make a jump stop right there, then there's not going to be a collision at all, and the game stops momentarily. And it stops because nobody is sure what you're going to do with it. Maybe you aren't even sure. And the thing is that look for the guy that he left. If he's, you know, he left somebody to come and help out with you on that penetration, give that person the basketball.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If he's gonna try to block your shot, do the jump stop, do a shot fake, get him up in the air, and then he's going to be in trouble. The other thing is that if they're coming off, that means that the defense is switching, so that means that there's somebody on your team that's open. Look for that person too. Or you can also kind of stun those guys with a little shot or pass fake as you go up for the shot.
Well, and there's one other element that comes out of that jump stop that I think is really important too, is you can jump stop, and when you attack the middle of a defense, that defense wants to shrink a little bit, and just when you make that jump stop, reverse turn and kick it out to shooters on the perimeter because they're not going to be guarded.
Okay. Engad Sungani says, how do I become the next Chris Paul? Practice. Yeah. And then Harris Ramanov, how to play against smothering defense. If somebody is smothering you on defense, go to the basket. Yeah. You don't wait around. You just go on them.
Our favorite line there is, if they crowd, I go. And that means that if they get up in my face, I'm going to the basket.
Yep. And you know the thing about it too is that they have overcommitted to you. Yeah. And if you take control, then you will be the one that can set the pace for what you want to do. Okay, this is the last one we're going to do. Last question. This is from Bruce Busby II, who says, is your shooting arm movement the same on a shot from 10 feet as a shot from the three-point line since your power comes from your legs?
Yep.
You want your stroke to be the same. You want it to be repeatable. You don't want to have a ton of variables in that because that's the fine finesse movement of your shot mechanics. Right. If you have a bunch of variables in that, then you're going to have a hard time having it be repeatable.
Yep, very true.
Okay, so that's going to do it for today, you guys.
All right, guys, thanks for showing up and helping us, and hope we helped you.
Yeah, that was your first sign-off. But if you guys didn't get your question answered, it's not because we didn't like you, it's because we just ran out of time. Send your questions to us throughout the week. We are at Shot Science on Twitter. You can hit us up on Facebook. We're always on Google+. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel for our new videos. And make sure you're here next week, Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, for the next live show. We should have a guest next week, and we will see you guys then. All right?
All right.
See you later.
See you guys later.